Welcome into another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. I am super excited for this episode. But before we dive in, let's ground ourselves. Where are we? What is Harmonious? Why are we listening to this? Harmonious is the fundamental business architecture that will disrupt the way you look at your business, and it's optimized for small business success. The Fortune 500 is doing it wrong, and we're copying it, which makes it wronger. And we don't want to do that anymore. So on this show, we dive in to the fundamental disciplines you need to run your business, grow, and scale at a rate you never thought possible before. And we talk about the triad of business, which is mind, body, business. Today, I have a feeling we're going to be a lot in business. We're going to be in the harmonious architecture, and we're going to dive deep on finances and optimizing your profit. Heyo, that's a fun conversation. Who doesn't love that? So let me welcome to the show, Dee. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we have a fun topic today: how to increase your profit without working more. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do to help people do that?
Yes, that is like the what everybody wants, right?
Clickbait, right? Yeah.
It is. But really, it's really achievable, and that kind of is like the thing that a lot of times when you kind of like see that kind of slogan out there, it really is kind of just like clickbait, or it just kind of sounds like too good to be true. But as a fractional CFO and profit strategist, we really work on understanding what the key drivers in your business are, or the key areas where maybe things are working well, and work on optimizing those so that you don't have to work more, that you can just let your business, the areas of your business that are already shining, just continue to work and earn that additional profit for you, as opposed to having to take on more clients, work more hours, and all of that. So it's really kind of jumping in, understanding, the ins and outs of different areas of your business and where those strengths are, and then leveraging those in your strategy.
I love this so much already, because I think a lot of consultants, which you could put both of us in that category, obviously, but I think more operational consultants and business generalized consultants, if you will, they focus on what to do and the more of the things that you should be doing as a business owner, as a business, whatever. And our personal philosophy and what we say all the time to our clients is we spend more time telling you what not to do than what actually to do. And it sounds like that's coming through when I hear your answer to that question.
Yep, absolutely. It can definitely be the same thing, right? Like you can, do certain analyses in the business and learn like areas where things aren't working well too, right? And, you can see, okay, for example, one of the things that I do a lot is we'll do like a project profitability analysis, where we look at your profitability for projects and by project type. And, we'll try to leverage, or really try to have you focus on the areas where, by service type, what types of projects are just naturally more profitable, or even kind of, to go hand in hand with that. It doesn't necessarily have to be the service type that's more profitable. You have to like keep digging a little bit more, right? Like, is that most profitable service type? How long does it take you to do? Can you only do one of those a month or a quarter, So it's kind of like a balance of what's working, what you can do better at, and making that work in your favor so that you don't have to. It's really just kind of like that standard saying, right? Work smarter, not harder.
That's right. That's what we're all here for, but everyone's doing the wrong end of the 80-20 rule. So let's focus on the right side, right? So tell me, before we go deeper into actually how to do this, I'm curious about your background. How did you get into being a fractional CFO, excuse me. Look at me projecting on you. I'm a fractional COO. You're a CFO. How did you get into this?
So I have a background as a CPA. I worked in public accounting, a mixture of public accounting and private accounting for over 10 years. And for the last 4 years, I've had my own business and I've kind of had a little bit of like, a journey to get to this spot exactly. But over the past 4 years, I've really kind of worked with clients and realized the certain things that they need, right? And really like listen to what the market is asking for and what they need. And so that's kind of how I've kind of gotten into this path. In the past, I really loved doing a lot of like hands-on management work. Like when I worked in like private industry, I was a controller. I loved like working and having a team of people. And so, I kind of started my own business in that route. But now like I really enjoy the strategy piece of it. And so that's kind of where I've moved into the fractional CFO perspective of it. And the profit piece, I think has been like really fun to work through, because really that's why all business owners are in business, right? Like to make money, but not to have to do it by working and running themselves into the ground, right? And I think that it's also an important piece to focus on, because a lot of times you'll hear out there in the business world, especially like in the online business world, to focus on serving clients that are, high ticket. But when we work with clients who, by focusing on increasing profitability, all clients at any level of business, right? Like they deserve to have these skills and this information readily available for them. So that's like one of the key pieces that I really have been focusing on recently, is making sure that whether you're, a 7-figure business owner or you're just starting out, like you have the information available to you, whether it's, not necessarily me doing it for you, right? Maybe it's not a done for you service, but you still have that, those tools that you have access to.
I love that you make that available to all levels too. And what is your, I guess, range of product offerings? How do you serve both ends of the spectrum there?
Yep. So most of the time, like, obviously my done for you services are, the higher ticket, like monthly retainer or fractional CFO type work. But then I also offer like strategy sessions so that they're available to, all levels of business owners. And then also some digital products that are, a lower ticket level where, I really give all of the information and the resources, templates to be able to use to kind of do the analysis work on their own. But then they kind of have to do a little bit of the legwork behind it also.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that everyone has the strategy accessible to them. And I want to dive in there a little bit, because so that's what separates an accountant from a CFO, a COO
Mm-hmm.
from a business consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Is, us, me and you, we are focused on the strategy, the structure, hence the harmonious architecture, right? It's how the overall business works and how the overall accounting and profitability works. So let's dive in on the strategy. Where do you start with your clients to first, I guess, diagnose where they are and then develop that path forward to maximum profitability?
Yeah. So whether I'm working with somebody on a monthly basis or not, so like I also have like quarterly packages, right? So like that one might be like a good one to kind of walk through. So I'll have a set like 6 different analyses that I work through. So I'll go through, like reviewing at a minimum, the profit and loss statement for whatever the current period that we're looking at, compared to what that prior period is, and investigating what those differences are and what those variances are and what kind of drive those. We'll also look at, projections to actual and kind of understanding what happened there as well. We'll take a look through like our pricing. Pricing is a big thing that I work through. So whether we need to take a look at the pricing formula again, or whether we're just looking at how our pricing of our services or the product, how that estimated cost compared to the actual cost that the client ended up incurring. And then we'll look at like project profitability and looking at kind of like the trends there by service type. We do a lot with KPIs, so I'll look at that as well. So once we kind of go through all of those different analyses, we start to identify certain trends, things that worked well that quarter, how we hit our targets, or maybe we didn't hit our targets. And based on the results of all of those, then we can start developing the strategy that we use to implement for the next quarter. And you might come up with maybe 5 things that, kind of stood out to you in that quarter that maybe worked well or didn't work well. But I always try to just focus on 3 things that we'll focus on for the next quarter. Because if you take on more than, you can handle, it's just too much. It's too overwhelming. Things fall off. You don't really give each item like what it's worth and what it needs to be, in order to actually see the end result or the goal of what you're trying to accomplish. So that's kind of like the framework. We have the different analyses, and then based on the results, we develop the strategy that's used for the next quarter.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so this sometimes gets under the skin of people who specialize in finance, whether it's accountant, CFO, bookkeeper, anywhere on the spectrum. Finance is actually not a standalone discipline within our harmonious architecture. But you just hit on the reason why. And I want to kind of dive into that for just a second. So you talked about strategy, you talked about metrics, you talked about tying that into the operations, the pricing, all this stuff. So that for us is why it's not a standalone discipline, because it really touches a lot of the other ones. So
Mm-hmm.
A in harmonious is analyze. That's typically your metrics. So obviously you're looking there. Finance by definition is numbers, it's metrics.
Mm-hmm.
It's also in RAD, risk and defense. I mean, if you don't have a sound financial strategy, and that's obviously what you do as a CFO, you're opening yourself up to risk of really going out of business. I mean, ultimately, if you don't have money, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
A number of other areas too, operations, operate. So I love this conversation because a lot of people, they really put finances last because they love the service that they provide, the product that they make. And it's kind of backwards because, like I said, if you don't have money, like if you're not making money, you're not in business.
Yeah.
So then talk to me a little bit about, if let's say you're talking to me, what does my business look like if I need to hire a CFO or I need to work with you?
Mm-hmm.
What does my business typically look like, or your client's business typically look like when they approach you?
Yeah. So for a client that is looking to have like that monthly retainer, typically we say, you're at like that, at least like 500,000 of like annual revenue. And it's really when you're kind of getting to the point where of course, maybe finances just aren't your strong suit, right? So like that's a struggle for you, but you're spending more time, just like seeking out information of where to focus, and you're not sure like how the whole picture, right, fits together. And the real thing with why you hire somebody on like a fractional, perspective is you don't have the budget, right, to have a team member on all the time. So having somebody in that, like just that fractional capacity where you have somebody that you can email and reach out to, as much as needed, or you just, need a 30-minute or, an hour call with every week. You need somebody else to take a look at your numbers and see what's going on and making sure that you are on track, how you're, meeting your projections, things like that. So that's really kind of the ongoing support level, like for what a business looks like. But, like I said before, I really aim to serve clients of all business levels, right? So I've had clients in the past where I just do, project-based work, and they were just starting, but they wanted to really know that their pricing was nailed down. They felt that was going to really set them up for success in their business, not only really understanding like that their pricing was nailed down, but feeling confident in knowing like where they had wiggle room when talking with clients, right? Because a lot of times, or this client in particular, they didn't really have like set packages, right? Like there was some changes and things that you could include or not include, based on what job it was. So she really wanted to feel confident when talking to prospective clients that her pricing was going to serve her, but also, she wasn't going to quote too high or quote too low and, kind of like box herself out of, potential clients. So, again, like it can just be on a specific need basis, right? Like maybe you just need a specific analysis performed, or a quarterly basis where we just look at the quarterly, strategy and develop that strategic plan for the next quarter. Or you could need that ongoing monthly support where you really need to have somebody that you're constantly reaching out to and, depending on and asking for advice and making sure like you're on the right path to hit where you're aiming to go.
Yeah, that's so important. And we do the same thing with our clients, not in terms of finance, but in terms of planning the direction of your business. We do it quarterly, and you do need to review your business, your finances that often. But most people just review their finances at the end of the year and on April 15th.
Yeah.
And you're just set up for failure if that's all you're going to do.
Yeah. When you look at things at the end of the year, I mean, I'm sure, of course, let's at least make sure we're doing that. But
okay, good foundation. Yes.
Yeah. You can only respond to things reactively at that point. Whereas if you are looking at things quarterly, you can see the trends, you can see how you performed on a short period of time, and you can start to implement changes quicker, and you're more proactive in your response to what is going on in your current business environment. And that will help you to see, right, like the increases in profitability, or just, in general, like whatever it is that your current goal, is to attain, you're going to start to see that work, as opposed to if you're just looking at something annually.
Yeah. So if you get nothing else from this conversation, just understand the COO, the CFO, the C-suite in general is looking forward. And yeah, we're reacting to things that have happened, but we're also focused a lot on planning and strategy and directing the business. So if you get nothing else, do that. Do that in some capacity. And I would encourage you, in terms of finances, unless you're an accountant or a CPA or you have this down solid, please reach out to Dee. Please reach out to an expert to help you with this. Now, Dee, you have a download on your website. I'm going to put your website on the screen here. If you're listening and not watching, this will be in the show notes as well. But can you tell the audience a little bit about what you have here?
Yep. So if you go to my website, dtomashoff.com, you can download my freebie. It's all about how to leverage data in your business to drive your strategy. So in that freebie, I jump into kind of the key areas where you can quickly and easily start leveraging the data in your business. So a lot of times it just feels overwhelming, but when it's broken down in this freebie into just, I think we have 3 ways in there that you can start, right? Because it's all just about starting. And kind of when you jump in and you just take a small step, it leads to bigger things. So you can download that there. And you can also follow me on Instagram. My handle is dtomashoff again. And, kind of check out the tips and tricks and all the things that I share there as well.
That's awesome. I was going to ask you that next. Where can we follow you? You've answered that question. So again, for those of you listening, watching, I'll put all of that in the show notes down below on whatever platform. This has been a great conversation, and I'm so glad you didn't come in with, specific tactics to increase your profit, because strategy-wise, business growth and profit-wise, I mean, it varies, and you know that, but every business is unique. So thank you for that. And that's how I know that you are a respectable professional, because I always like to make fun of the people that are like, the 3 ways to increase your profit. Yeah. For who, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Thank you for coming on. This has been awesome. And listen, for you watching, listening, I appreciate you. We do this for you. I hope this helped. If you need more insight into your finances, into your financial strategy moving forward, website's on the screen. It's in the show notes. Go download the freebie. And also, if you want to figure out how your business touches finances, all the different disciplines that touch finance and how your business is performing, we have our assessment that I talk about all the time on this show at whatif.com. It's our BAD assessment. It'll give you a live score in all 10 disciplines, and I can tell you exactly how your finances are showing up. And then I can send you on over to Dee and say, here is how this business is performing. Please fix it. And she will. So go ahead, download both things. Go take our assessment, download Dee's freebie, and be sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all those beautiful things on whatever platform you're on. And we'll see you on the next episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Thank you for watching and